In this spicy video today, guys, I'm going to see if I could survive 100 days in a TNT only world. This might be the most dangerous world. One slight mistake, one misplaced lava, one creeper is all it takes for it to be the complete end. And keep in mind, I will be doing this on hardcore mode, so I do only have one life. I've done a lot of hard videos in the past, including surviving 100 days in a void only world, but this one's gonna take the cake. Do I have what it takes to survive? Let's see. If you guys do enjoy this video, make sure you guys smash that like button. This video was a ton of work, and I do hope you guys enjoy it. And also, please consider subscribing, join the Paul GG army. We're growing really fast, and let's get into the video. Day 1. Since this is technically a super flat world, there's luckily a lot of villages everywhere, and I spawned right on one. So I grabbed some snacks for the road and began chopping down some trees for some wood. That is until the stupid pig just got in my way. But after getting some wood, I was able to make a pickaxe, so then I could start tearing down some people's homes and get some, just typo, and it threw me off. I was in the zone, so that I could be able to make some more stone tools. After that, it was golem clapping time. And then I pretty much just spent the rest of the day just pillaging this village of any of the valuables that it had and gathering a bunch of resources for the road. Day 2, it's time for some exploring. And I see a village not too far away. And when getting closer to it, I actually found out there's a horse there. I'm gonna name him Chestnut. It took forever for him to accept my love, but he finally came around. Now all I was gonna need is a saddle, which unfortunately this village didn't really have much of anything. And so for that, they're gonna have to pay with their iron golem's life. But I was able to see another village not too far away, so the saddle adventure continues. Which the next village, as expected, did not have a saddle. But it did have a blast furnace, which, I mean, that's basically it. Definitely the worst village so far. But this Dookie village was strangely close to another nicer village, so I was heading on over to there where I found 2 more horses. Chestnut's gonna be happy to have some friends. Days 4 through 9, I began clearing out a giant area in between the 2 villages that were close together. I needed to settle down somewhere, and I figured it'd be convenient for stonks if I just lived right in between 2 villages. But I also didn't want to live on top of TNT, so I figured clearing out a giant area would probably be the most strategic thing to do. Because in some magical way, if I survive an explosion, I want my house to be safe. But unfortunately, clearing out this giant area is just so insanely difficult because all the stupid slimes are just fighting me. It's so annoying. But after days and days of swinging my life away, I finally cleared out this giant, beautiful plot of land. And I even ended up with more than a double chest full of TNT. Day 10 through 11. Decided I wanted to begin the long process of trying to slime-proof my land. And for that, I was going to need some carpet. And for carpet, I was going to need wool. And for wool, I was going to need a sheep. Which, unfortunately, my home village doesn't have one, but the backyard village does have a chicken. I'll just cage him up for now and come back for him later. But I did remember that there was a sheep inside of a village that I did pass through earlier. So I ran my way all the way over there, and right before picking him up, I actually remembered that sheep need grass to be able to grow back their wool. So I grabbed a couple extra fences and dug up some extra dirt, and we set off to go home. But on the way, I actually picked up a hitchhiker that wanted to join the adventure. But by the time we made it to the halfway point, the sun was going down, and I was definitely not going to risk it turning nighttime and creepers to spawn. Next morning, I wrangled up my sheep and we hit the road. It was a long, treacherous journey with many battles fought, but we finally made it home, and I put Mr. Sheep in the cage with Senor Porker, where he's pretty much just gonna live out the rest of his days. Day 12, I pretty much just spent a bunch of time chopping down trees in my village. There's definitely more trees than I thought there would be, but I wanted to get tons of wood so that I could be able to make some fences and fence in all my land. And I also wanted to get some saplings so I could be able to make a real tree farm later. Day 13, I started off by digging a pathway for some grass to be able to spread all the way over to my land, so I could finally have some greenery to look at. Then I spent the rest of the day just building out a giant fenced-in area. Except the stupid slimes are fighting me. I'm gonna lose my mind listening to this flopping sound throughout this entire video. But then also a wandering trader spawned. But like always, he's just kind of selling Dookie and nothing I'm ever gonna need. But at least after finishing up all the fences, slimes can't jump over. And now I'll only have to deal with the ones that actually spawn on the inside for now. Day 14 through 15, it's time to do some adventuring. I wanted to try to hopefully find another sheep so I can actually make a sheep farm. And I was also still trying to be optimistic about finding a saddle for Chestnut, mainly because the next village is super far away and I'm getting tired of running. Luckily, the next village did, however, actually have a sheep. This is going to be great because now I got to walk all the way back. I don't know what else I was expecting. But after clapping many slimy boys, oh wait, that sounds gross. We're finally home and it's breeding time. Now I can finally start getting tons of wool. Day 16, I spent the day just setting up my own private farm on my land because I'm getting pretty hungry and I don't want any freeloading villagers to to take all my snacks, which is ironic considering that, I mean, I'm taking theirs, but we don't got to talk about that right now. Day 17, I thought it'd be a great idea to make a tunnel underground for both of the villages near my housing development, so I don't have to deal with any slimes when transferring villagers or animals to my property. The home village was pretty quick, and honestly, it probably didn't even need to really build a tunnel for this one, but the backyard village was pretty far away, and I even broke 2 of my spoons on the way there, and then I actually realized I ran out of wood to make more, which made me realize that I never built that tree farm that I was talking about. So on day 18, I set up a spot for some trees to grow, and I fenced it in just in case if mobs are going to start spawning underneath the trees when it gets all shady. Afterwards, I continued to expand the carpet in hopes of one day completely slime proofing the place. Day 19 to 22, it's time to do some more adventuring. I plan on just continuing my path of destruction and pillaging every single village that I could be able to find. The first village had a cartographer, which actually sounds like some more work for my villagers. So I just go ahead and take that, and might as well take all this carpet too. The next one finally had my first blacksmith in the world, and inside the blacksmith I actually had tons of obsidian and a lot of iron and even some armor for Chestnut. And of course I also scooped up that lava so that I could be able to make a nether portal later. And then in the third village I actually had a really close call with an iron golem. He almost clapped my cheeks. But luckily I cranked some 90s on him and got the high ground. After that was over, I looted the leather worker's house and I finally found a saddle. And there was even a horse in this village too. I'm gonna name you Temporary because I'll only be riding you temporarily to get home to Chestnut, which is exactly what I did. Because on day 23, I ran all the way back to Chestnut, and I even did it on foot because, you know, I wasn't gonna completely abandon Temporary for getting me all the way home, you know what I mean? That would just be rude. But after arriving, I saddled up and put on his bling bling, and he's looking good. I rode him all the way home. Speaking of home, what do you think of your new home, Chestnut?
This place is the absolute worst. You stole me from my home, taking my people's food and leaving their homes in ruins. You forced me in heavy gold armor and paired me with another horse expecting us both to get along. I miss my family, my friends and my home. This is without a doubt the worst point in my whole entire life.
Yeah, I know, it kind of sucks. I need some work. Oh god, what am I doing? I'm talking to a horse right now. Anyways, after getting him home, I set up a new stable just for Chestnut and Temporary to live in forever, happily ever after. And on days 24 to 25, I took Chestnut's harsh words to heart. I figured it's about time to go start sprucing up the place and, you know, start building a house, officially settle down. So I saddled up on Chestnut and we set out on an adventure to go get some materials. And by that, you know, I mean to just go pillage some villages and go take all their resources for myself. I was gonna need a lot of cobblestone and a lot of wood so that I could be able to then smelt down the cobblestone, be able to turn it into stone bricks. Because I want this place looking a little snazzy. And on day 26 to 34, it's time to build. I did a lot of experimenting with this house, but honestly, I just kind of went with a pretty simple layout. I don't want it to take up too much of the land. I need some room for expansions and more auto farmers and things that'll just help me survive in this terrible world. And one thing was that I wasn't paying attention and it started getting a little dark out, and Chestnut and I were out in the boonies trying to run home. The sun was setting and mobs were about to start spawning, but luckily we made it back to a village in time to be able to rest. Honestly, I never feel too confident about building with, you know, just oak wood and stone, but I feel like this house is turning out pretty nice. I try to add as much texture as I could, but at the end of the day, I mean, I'm pretty limited on resources here. But eventually, after finishing up with the roof, I had these giant holes where you'd normally put a window, and unfortunately, I can't really get glass right now, considering the fact that there's no sand in this world. So I figured that I would just kind of fill it in with tons of slime. I mean, it's honestly the next best thing, right? I get a little bit of light through these. And on day 35, now that we got our new house all set up, it's about time we move in. So I set up a bunch of chests so I could be able to actually organize all my stuff. And then I started emptying out all the chests that I've been just filling up outside with tons of random stuff. Brought it all into the new house and organized it all. And on day 36, I noticed my crops were actually getting stomped out. I don't know why I never processed the fact that, you know, slime jump around, and if you jump on the crops, it breaks the crops, and I never processed that. Now I gotta clean up after all these stupid slimes are ruining farm. But after cleaning it up and expanding it, I decided that maybe I should, you know, build a fence around it so they could not spawn in here. And then my snacks will be forever safe. And on day 37, I went to go give my sheep some haircuts so I could get some wool. But that's when I got attacked by a slime, and then one of my sheep got out. Oh well, that's not really that big of a deal. I was gonna move him over to the house anyways, because I want to set up an auto wool farm. But while escorting him on the way to my house, I actually noticed that there was another wandering trader. And when I was making my way over to the wandering trader, I actually heard a spider inside inside the house. Got me a little worried that there might be a creeper, but luckily there wasn't. So it's time to light the place up a little. And then I went and did some bartering with the wandering trader, and of course he's kind of just selling dookie. And on days 38 to 39, it's time to do some adventuring and go find some new lands. And by that I mean more pillaging, because I need some resources, because those spiders actually made me realize that I should build a mob grinder. And not too far away from home, I actually managed to find a mega village. Okay, well, it's not really a mega village. It's two villages that are just side by side, really close together. And I thought my two villages were close, but no, these things are like divided by a road. And one of the villages actually even had a blacksmith, so I went to go loot it, and I had a bunch of good materials, and even had an upgrade for walnut chestnut. Now chestnut's got that real bling bling, about to go flex on everybody. Afterwards, I pretty much just started dismantling all the houses that I could, trying to get tons of cobblestone. Day 40 to 43, it's time to build up that mob grinder. I mean, pretty much everyone's built one of these things, so I mean, I'll just have my editor Jake just kind of throw together a little bit of a montage of the building process for you guys. And on day 44, it was finally time to start working on building the auto wool farm. So to start out, I was going to need some redstone, which I could just buy from the brew boy in town. Then I was going to need to escort some more sheepers on over to the house. After that, I was going to need a dispenser, but for that, I was also going to need a bow or some string or a skeleton or something to come out of this mob grinder. Please just spawn something. Ah, there we go. Finally, something came through. But one of the last big things I was going to need is an observer, which meant it's time to hop in the nether, because I was going to need some quartz to be able to craft it up. So I quickly constructed my nether portal, and then remembered that I didn't have any flint in this world. But I did have a lava bucket and some wood and a lot of patience. And so I waited. And then I waited. And then boom, the portal got lit. So I hopped in and oh my god, I'm gonna die. I wasn't expecting to just spawn right into a bastion like this. I wasn't wearing any gold or anything. It was almost GG right there. I had to jump back out and just mentally prepare myself before I go back in there. But honestly, mama didn't raise no baby back baby. So I hopped back in there and lava bucketed some piggy boys. And then I dug my way out because honestly, I don't want to be in there at all right now. All I needed was some quartz, which luckily I managed to find some not too far away. So on day 46 to 47, it was time to finally construct this auto wool farm, which in reality, it shouldn't be too hard. I mean, I just got a pretty small brain, but with some trial and error and a few hoppers and a minecart, I managed to get everything all set up. And look at this sheepers. All I really need is just to wait for the grass to fully spread all the way over, and then it'll start going automatically by itself. Day 48. I started off the day by actually rescuing a chicken out of the mob grinder. You guys know I'm the chicken lord, and I have to help a fellow chicken whenever I see one in need. Then I noticed the grass actually grew at the auto wool farm, so I decided to wait and watch it just to make sure it was working fine, which I mean, well, it was, but the wool kept getting stuck. And since I have a really small brain at the time, I didn't realize that it was because of the fences. So then I thought the best solution to fixing this would be to add more fences on top. And again, at the time I didn't realize it. After that, I finished out the day by harvesting the farm and expanding it a little bit. Looks like we're going to be eating good now. Day 49 to 52. I went back into the nether in hopes of being able to find some diamond tools inside the bastion, since I mean, they spawn in the chest all the time. But first I was going to need some gold though. And luckily, not too far away, I managed to get a little bit of gold so I could be able to make some gold booties, and then the piglins would all respect me because I got that drip. Afterwards, I went back to the bastion, opening up any chests that I could find, and actually the first one had a golden apple in it, which is definitely going to be coming in handy because I have to evade as many piglin brutes as possible. Those things are violent. But unfortunately, in the part of the bastion that has a bunch of chests with good loot in it, actually has a lot of piglin brutes. But luckily, I was able to lure them out and use a lava bucket to cook their bacon, and I only had a couple close calls. But after dealing with all of them, I was able to freely run through this thing and loot all the chests all I wanted, and also be able to get all the gold in the walls. But unfortunately, there wasn't really any diamond gear. However, there was a lot of gold, and there was some ancient debris inside the chest. Afterwards, I figured that I might as well do a little bit of trades with some piglins, be able to get some pearls, and anything else that they want to give me that I don't normally get in the overworld. And after all those trades were done, I figured it's about time we should head home because my inventory is looking a little bit full, and I'd call that a successful trip to the nether, honestly. But our time in the overworld was short-lived, and it was just to empty out my inventory, because back on day 53 to 56, we're going back into the nether. But this time it's to find a fortress. And since the Bastion didn't really have any diamond gear, I was hoping that a fortress would, since, you know, I mean, fortresses also have a lot of diamonds in them. So after adventuring through the nether for some time, I managed to actually find one. And I made my way through the corridors that actually spawned all the chests and began looting all of them. I actually found tons of diamonds. But after I was done with my shopping spree, I decided it's about time to go throw some hands with some blazes. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess they don't really have hands, huh? Either way, I sat on a blaze spawner and just beat the crap out of them. I demolished them until I got about 8 blaze rods and feeling good about my achievements, so I figured I'd leave on a high note and head home. Yeah, the long journey home. Day 57. We're back at home and I'm crafting up some diamond tools finally. Afterwards, I figured that I'd make some Eye of Enders because I figured why not go to the stronghold and find it early. And that's when I realized I didn't add the stronghold to the custom world. So that means that there isn't an end or an ender dragon. But I must move on. And so I spent the rest of the day just trying to get a librarian villager to sell me mending, but they just wouldn't even really take the job. I'm assuming it's because it's the end of the day and then it's past job o'clock and they don't really want to take it. So I figured I'd come back the next day. And so on day 58, came back to go do some trades with the villagers. But after giving the villagers the librarian job all day long and they literally just wouldn't sell me mending, I ended up just settling with Silk Touch because honestly, that'll probably be super handy anyways in this world because I can't get a lot of blocks. But to be able to get that Silk Touch book, I was going to need to make some money. So on day 59, I spent the entire day just doing stonks. I traded tons of carrots and potatoes, and I even made a loom so I could be able to trade all the wool that I've been getting from my sheep. And since you guys know I'm a professional barber, I'm out here just trimming hair. Yeah, it's crappy joke. And so after making tons of trades and getting all the money I was going to need, I bought that Silk Touch book. And then I realized I didn't even have enough iron to make an anvil. And so it was also a sad day. But that's okay because I got an even better idea. On day 60 to 69, nice. Remember all that TNT I got from clearing out the plot of land for the house? Well, it's time to take a whole inventory full of TNT into the nether to go ancient Deborah mining. I found a perfect spot to be able to dig all the way down to Y level 17 and began digging a really long straight line. And then this time I decided I want all of it to be strung together. I wanted no gaps between the TNT. After making the really long line all the way down, I also decided to make some other lanes on the left and the right side all the way down. And again, like I said, I spared no expense. I had all the TNT just right up against each other. I wanted this to be a huge explosion. And oh boy, it was. I lit that TNT and my game started lagging. It was a lot of TNT, but a lot of TNT meant a big explosion, and a big explosion meant a lot of ancient Deborahs. It took me a little while actually just to be able to get all the way through this thing to mine it all, but I actually ended up with a little over a stack. And on day 70, we're back at home and I'm smelting down all them ancient Deborahs. But this is gonna take a little while. So I decided to go hit the mob grinder, and it turns out there's actually a chicken in there. And like I said before, I'm always here to rescue a chicken. So I managed to slay all the mobs in there and weasel his way out. And by the time I was done with that, I actually had some ancient Deborahs done. I don't know why I was thinking that I had to wait the entire time. I don't really need all of these right now. I only have 3 diamond tools. So then I crafted up a smithing table, and then I upgraded my axe and my pickaxe and my shovel. But making that smithing table also made me realize that, you know, I'm still running pretty low on iron. And now, I mean, I could make an iron farm, but I'm feeling like I want to go on an adventure. So I hopped on Chestnut and I set off. Well, that is until I ran into a raid party. Like, what? A raid party? How? I don't even think there's raid towers in this world. Well, I mean, I wasn't going to say no. This actually sounds like pretty fun. So I gave them all the clapping and got that bad omen. Then I decided to run all the way out to a village pretty far away, so I don't got to worry about the raid if I end up failing it. And so battling the raid wasn't too big of a deal. The first 2 waves, they went pretty smoothly until the 3rd wave. That's when the Ravager showed up, but I was able to easily avoid him by just standing on a roof and shooting him in the face like the dummy he is. Then the 4th wave started getting a little bit dicey because there were so many pillagers, but I still managed to overcome them. And keep in mind, while I'm doing all this fighting, I'm also getting attacked by the slimes because the slimes are teaming up with all the pillagers, and then they're also starting to attack me because I hate the stupid slimes. And then by the 5th wave, it got really close. I was actually down to like half of a heart, actually. Between how hard the Vindicators hit me, and then I also had an Evoker spawning Vexes everywhere, it got a little bit dicey. But then I realized I had a whole nother problem entirely. The sun started going down, and this raid was clearly nowhere near being done. I managed to slay the Evoker and get the Totem of Undying. However, there was still a lot of Vexes flying around. And with the sun setting, I needed to get out of here because the next wave just started. So Chestnut and I rushed all the way to the nearest village so that we were able to go to sleep and avoid all the mobs. But we were too late. Mobs were spawning. Creepers were everywhere. Skellies with enchanted bows that might even have flame on them. I tried circling around in the village, finding a building that didn't have any mobs around it, but there was just way too many. So I had to jump off Chestnut and do my best to slay as many as I can, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to hop in bed. And so after slaying a couple of zombies, that's when another one snuck up. Another zombie, a creeper behind them. They strategized this. They planned it. They knew what they were doing. These mobs were aware. I braced myself for the impact of what the creeper was going to bring. And then the biggest explosion I've ever seen in Minecraft just waved over me. And then it was nothing. I was dead. And this was the end of the TNT world. I couldn't survive the 100 days. However, I did have a lot of fun on this world, and I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did enjoy this video, you should definitely check out the link in the description to a playlist of all my 100-day videos. If you guys haven't already, make sure you guys drop a like on this video, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.